So, rounding out the show, our final topic, TED Talk, with the rumored M6 MacBook specs being leaked. Now, I will caveat this saying that how the maintenance schedule is for MacBook releases, we might see two different we might see an M6 early next year and then a revised, they redo the model, the body and all that every, I think, 5 years, and I think they're up on their 5 years. So we could get the M6 and then maybe the M6 Max or whatever it is, Ultra, in a new chassis. So that's just some little caveats. But let's go through the tea leaves. The M6 chip series, rumors suggest Apple will move to the 2 nanometer class manufacturing process for the M6 processor, improving performance over power efficiency. OLED displays for MacBook Pros. Several reports claim Apple is preparing to introduce OLED panels in the MacBook Pro lineup with the M6 or M6 Pro and Max models. Touchscreen support. Now, Apple for the longest time for MacBook has said they're not doing touchscreen. If they did touchscreens on a MacBook, what reason would you have to buy an iPad? And this is where Apple kind of cannibalizes their own fucking product because they don't want to take away from another product that's selling like hotcakes. But honestly, touchscreen in a computer is not really does not tickle my fancy. My work computer at work has a touchscreen, and every time I bump, like something bumps up to the screen, I forget, like, oh yeah, I can touch. But I'm not gonna go from typing on my keyboard and with my mouse to touching the screen on my computer. That's just not something that's necessary, like, for my use. Now, different things, different situations could probably benefit from a touchscreen on a MacBook. Like maybe, you're selling something, you're showcasing something to somebody, but that would have to involve them being able to move the screen to like back to back, having the keyboard on one side and the screen showing on the other side, like a foldability. I don't know if Apple would do that, but if you're gonna do a touchscreen, I think you have to readjust the bendability of the screen itself. And in that theory, it does start to think you do start reminiscent of an iPad if you can do that. But touchscreen support on device input upgrades. Rumors say Apple may introduce touch support in the next MacBook Pro models, possibly tied to the OLED upgrade. Design changes include thinner chassis, removal of the notch in favor of a hole punch camera or improved display, top bezel, reinforced hinge, etc., and all being floated. Okay, so basically that little notch, I think, yeah, you can see it in the graphic. It's a circular, then the big, what is that, square at the top. I mean, that's something they could have easily done years ago, but whatever. And release windows. Many reports suggest late 2026 or early 2027 for the full redesigned OLED plus major upgrades with M6. However, a base M6 MacBook may arrive earlier, less dramatic redesign features, of course, to maintain the schedule cadence. So pretty much like I said, you could get two different upgrades in 1 year. Beginning of the year, you can get a basic just chip upgrade to M6, and then at the end of the year, you can get a full body redesign, and it'll possibly have an M6 Pro or M6 Ultra chip. These MacBooks things come out every so often, but the one thing I am intrigued with the rumors, they're saying that possibly Apple can enable like mobile telephone internet service to be supplied by, Verizon, T-Mobile, all the phone companies. They literally can, like they do with the iPad. The iPad has, it's online and can be connected to cellular internet wherever, whenever you have basic service and cell tower coverage. They're saying that's possibly going to come to the MacBook. Now, that intrigued me because I think a year ago I was sitting in the airport and they had horrible Wi-Fi. I don't understand that. And I was just like, why do I have to use my hotspot on my phone, which is iffy? I don't know why, but my hotspot on my iPad kind of performs better than my hotspot on my phone. I'm not really sure. I never really thought to look into why. But I was like, why can't I just pay for a line for my MacBook? Noted, And I did ask Chat. This was a conversation between me and Chat. Chat said, "Hey, it's kind of like a lock and key type thing." And Apple was like, "How many times are you realistically not going to have access to Wi-Fi?" But I say, "Yeah, for your desktop, but for a laptop, my laptop is on the go. I'm always in an area where do not have access to Wi-Fi, and just being able to have the coverage like my iPad does anywhere that could really service me and benefit my day-to-day life on my MacBook." So, if this rumor is to be true, that is very exciting. Now, it's going to come to price, how the phone company is going to handle this and all that. That goes into question, but I think the idea of having mobile service on your laptop that you do take and are always in some type of situation where you're not connected to Wi-Fi, like that could be nice. Like I remember I was trying to edit videos at lunch on my lunch break at my job, and my job does not disclose the building's Wi-Fi. And so I had to use the hotspot, and it's very inconvenient. It's not really the best when you're editing videos and try to upload to YouTube while on a hotspot. Not saying you can't do it. I think this could really be a little tidbit to the MacBook if that's to be true. Out of everything that was announced or rumored to be announced, the OLED, of course, I feel like it's an inedible OLED is going to come to a MacBook one of these days. It's just when, not if. But besides the OLED rumor, definitely this mobile internet coverage from your phone company is the most exciting out of everything. I will say though, if you're gonna possibly wait till this time next year, so you have the redesign and you have everything in a new, fresh body cast to offer. Don't buy the early one if that's to be true.
And that's it for this video of Are You Not Entertained podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell so you'll never miss our next hot take. Until next time, Are You Not Entertained?